Hi, this is Jason Nickleby, Assistant Director with the Minnesota State High School League, and this is football officiating and training tape number 5. We've had a pretty good start to the season, pretty warm, so that's unusual, but we've handled that pretty well, and the weather and other challenges that have come our way. Just a few reminders on mechanics and some rules pieces that have been in the training tapes and the memos to this point. And certainly recommending that you take a look at the quiz for this week. Again, those are good questions to get your nose in the book and get you thinking about rules applications. And again, when we're looking at these plays, not picking on any one official, crew, player, or team, just trying to learn from these plays and have a dialogue as a crew as we prepare for this week's game. So with that, let's take a look at some plays. On this one, take a look at the receiver at the top of the screen, and then you see number 34 going down into a 3-point stance as number 15 goes in motion. And this only becomes a problem if they don't reset prior to the ball being snapped. When they don't do that, we have two players in motion at once that don't reset, so we have an illegal shift. Um, this really should be a live ball foul. I understand why we make it a false start. Nothing really good comes from letting it play out. I understand that. But this really should be a live ball illegal shift foul. So definitely a foul, one we want called. Um, but they do have a chance to correct it. Again, if they get set prior to the ball being snapped, then we would be fine. And in this case, number 15, as long as number 15 gets set prior to the ball being snapped, we would have no foul. And then a reminder on these procedural fouls like this, shift, full start, etc., we're not using the dead ball signal. We're just signaling illegal shift or false start offense, indicate the number and the down and so forth, and then we'll move forward. So definitely a foul. Um, Good that we picked it up. Should be a live ball foul, but understand why we went with false start as well. On this one, I want to talk about line of scrimmage mechanics. So we have 3rd and 1, and we're going to have a running play up the middle, gets tripped up and ends up on the ground close to the line to gain. So you see the down judge comes in pretty emphatically at the top of the screen. The line judge at the bottom of the screen is playing this as a first down and kills the clock. And then we have a crew discussion, which is good. We should get together and talk about it, especially want to make sure that the clock is stopped if we're having a prolonged conversation about what we're going to do with this. Um, Once we determine that it is short of the line to gain, we put the ball down in the spot and then the referee winds the game clock up, which is the correct mechanic. And then we're going to need to make sure that we pump up the play clock. They're going to need at least 25 seconds uh, to determine what they should do. And I would say it's probably best to pump up the play clock to 40 seconds and then start both on your signal as the referee. So um, good to have communication about this. I like that we're decisive and so on. But the only thing I would caution here, line of scrimmage, is again, I like the decisiveness of the down judge, although I'm not really sure how we see the football from that side of the field, especially on this near hash. I think this is a spot that we should defer to the line judge on, and I'm not so sure that the line judge didn't get the spot correct in the first place. So it's hard to tell, but I would say when a uh, run ends on a near sideline like this or on this hash, we should defer to the line of scrimmage official who's closest most of the time. I think they have the best shot of this, but utilize those mechanics when we have a spot, or at least there's a potential disagreement on where we should put the football. Okay, we've talked about pass interference considerations a number of times, and you see on this particular play, we have a long throw down the hash, and we're going to rule incomplete and no foul for defensive pass interference. I'm good with this. Again, looking for four hands. In this particular case, we don't have four hands, so we need to figure out what's going on with that hand that's missing or hands that are missing. If we have four hands, typically if there's contact, it's incidental in nature and not a foul. Doesn't mean that's the case all the time, but pretty typically when we have four hands going for the ball, that means both players are playing the ball and not the man. In this particular case, we are missing a hand from each player, and so the question becomes, um, what is the hand of each player doing? And I think in this particular case, both the defensive player and the offensive player are looking to the ball. They're not playing through the man. The only way this would be a foul is if it's a clear arm bar. So the defensive player or the offensive player for that matter were to take their arm and of the opponent and grab it and hold on to it or pin it against their body. That's a common technique. And that would be a foul for pass interference. In this case, I think both the defensive player and the offensive player are equally grabbing each other, and it's just hand fighting. They're both playing the ball. So I believe this is a proper no call for defensive pass interference because we do not have a category of pass interference. We do not have an arm bar. We do not have a grab and restrict, a hook and turn. They're both playing the ball, both hand fighting, and we're in really good position to see this. And this would be coming from the back judge if we do call it. Um, again, in this case, a nice job of not calling pass interference on this play. We don't have a category, no clear restriction, and again, in good position. So nice job of the back judge on this play of having no pass interference and understanding what needs to happen for that to occur. On this one, we do a really nice job of covering an interception and our movements on this. You see it's intercepted and it's returned up the sideline, and the line of scrimmage official who maintained the line of scrimmage until the pass was imminent then does a form of reverse mechanics, which we have in 7 and 8 person, but don't really do it in 5 at all. But in this case, we work our way backwards into the defensive backfield, just like we would if an offensive play came to our sideline and let it flow in front of us and officiate from behind. We officiate players in the dead ball period very well, kill the clock a couple times, and do a nice point. So this is excellent coverage and mechanics for handling an interception. Just really well done by the line of scrimmage official on this play. Just one thing to point out, uh, if you watch the movement by the back that goes in motion, um, just something to consider. I'm not saying it's a foul, but any movement that simulates the start of the play could be judged as a false start. So um, just make sure that we know where we're looking mechanically, who's responsible for this back. Let's say he does something a little bit more abrupt or quick. Who would see that? Is it the line of scrimmage? Is it referee? Is it umpire? I would say in this case, based on where this running back is, it would be the umpire who would call that. But I just want us to be aware of movements. If they simulate the start of the play, it should be a false start and we should shut it down. In this case, I think it's fine, but just something to be aware of coverage and who has that. But overall, excellent interception coverage and mechanics on this play. Okay, some mechanics pieces on this play for line of scrimmage inside the 7 yard line, and then also a rules piece. So first of all, we have 3rd and 1 at the 2 yard line. So uh, they can still gain a first down prior to a touchdown. In this case, they are ruled short. we do a nice job of coming in to get this spot. I think it's a good spot, but a couple things. One, we need to know the line to gain in advance. We shouldn't come in like this without killing the clock. If you notice, we get to the spot and the referee figures out it's a first down and kills the clock and then ships it as a first down. Line of scrimmage, we need to know the line to gain in advance, and we should be coming in killing the clock on this play. Secondly, as we've talked about several times, anytime the ball is snapped from the 7 and in, we go to the goal line immediately, regardless of whether there's a line to gain involved. In this case, there is a line to gain, but we need to get to the goal line and then we can work backwards for forward progress. If we have forward progress stopped or down by rule in the field of play, we'll come in at that spot. If we have a touchdown, we'll come in on the goal line. So um, that's our mechanic. Again, snapped 7 and in. We need to go to the goal line immediately and then work our way back to establish a forward progress spot. And then finally, this is a pretty clear example of helping the runner, and this is a foul and one we want called. Number 20 clearly puts his hands right into the rear end of the runner and pushes. This is helping the runner. Now, if they push the pile or they're pushing multiple players, including the runner, that's not what we're looking for with regards to helping the runner. But in this case, I think it's a pretty clear example of helping the runner. We're not looking to have a million of these called, but this is a pretty clear example of it. If it's a definite tush push, which is what we have here, this is one we want called. So referees and umpires, we need to be on alert for this, especially in short yardage situations like this one. And then we need to remember our mechanics from the 7 and in as line of scrimmage and have an awareness of the line to gain. So there's a lot going on. I get it, a lot to process, but we need to stick to our basic mechanics. And if we do that, I think we get the spot and the clock management and this foul. Couple things on this play, mechanics and just our coverage and some offensive holding considerations. So we're going to have trips to the bottom of the screen and we're going to have a rollout to the bottom by the quarterback, and we're going to have a block by the left tackle that is suspect, and we have a throw to the sideline. We do a nice job of coming up nice and calm, line of scrimmage, winding the clock. Just very well done on our coverage by the line of scrimmage official on this play, letting the play develop in front of us, maintaining the line of the scrimmage, and then officiating the dead ball action. So really nice job, line of scrimmage on this play. And then umpires and referees for that matter, but in this case, umpire, um, the primary responsibility again is the center, left guard, left tackle, and then we have to move our vision to the threat for foul or potential foul. And in this case, that would be the left tackle. And the challenge with this play is the passer, the quarterback, is rolling to our side. Remember, we're maintaining the edge of the free blocking zone. We officiate inside out. We let the passer cross our face and then officiate them as they head out to the side zone. But we should have our vision on this block by the left tackle. And it appears, and it's difficult to tell, but it appears that he gets his hooks into the defender and then pulls him to the ground in what is a snatch down. Now, no judgment. I struggle with these two. They're really hard to see, especially from our position in the offensive backfield. So this is a technique that we're seeing quite a bit at all levels of football, that they get their hooks into them where we can't see it, and then they pull them to the ground. So we need to do our best to see where those hands go, see what they do. Do they get hooked into them, into the jersey, into the collar area, and yank them to the ground? If so, that is a foul for offensive holding. That is point of attack, material restriction, and a pull down, one that we would want called. Now, again, very difficult to tell from this view. Just want to call our attention to it as umpires. and referees that this is a technique that we're seeing more of, and we just need to do our best to see the hands, see the feet. Did they get taken away by that action? Did the defender lose his feet and fall to the ground and the offensive player just helped him? Or was it an actual hold and a snatch down? So, in line of scrimmage, we need to be aware of this too, not on this play in particular, but have an awareness. So, um, maintain that edge of the free blocking zone, see the hands, and make a decision. Same thing here. We're going to have a run to the bottom of the screen on this pitch, and we're going to have a couple blocks at the point of attack that we need to get our vision to. Now, again, line of scrimmage, nice job. Lets the play develop in front, and then signal that the clock should continue to run nice and calm. So well done on our line of scrimmage mechanics. But couple things. One, we need to get our vision on the blocks at the point of attack, and that would be line of scrimmage, back judge, and referee in this case. And it certainly appears that the one block, while suspect, I think is okay, but the other one, you can see that number 8, the offensive player has his arms draped right around him, right at the point of attack, restricting him from getting to the ball carrier. And then you'll see on this TV feed that after he grabs a hold of him and bear hugs him, he turns and spins and throws him to the ground. This is offensive holding and one we need to call. This is a pretty big takedown. We can't miss these. We got to get these ones. Again, we want offensive holding called that it has a material restriction, has an effect on the play, and takes their feet away, takes a step away from the person being blocked. And in this case, we bear hug the defender and then throw him to the ground. So this is offensive holding, one we definitely want called. And then the other piece here is targeting. So remember, if we take aim with helmet, forearm, shoulder, etc., into the head or neck area of our opponent, that is targeting. And I believe that's what we have in this play. So we should have offsetting fouls in this case because we should have called offensive holding. And I believe this is targeting. As you see here on the replay, the defender dips his head, doesn't make an attempt to make a um, typical tackle, uh, just leads with that helmet right into the helmet, head and neck area of the ball carrier. This is a foul for targeting and one we want called. Back judge, line of scrimmage, just be aware when that defender comes in. We don't have the word indicator in the high school rules book, but I think it's a pretty good barometer to use. And that indicator is dipping the head, dipping the shoulder, launching. Those kinds of actions tell you that our antennas need to be up relative to targeting, and it's a safety foul. So we need to be on top of these. Again, we're getting better at it, but we can always process these better. And remember that even though this is a runner, if we have head or neck area that contact that is initiated by the player who's delivering the hit, and they deliver that hit with the helmet, forearm, shoulder, etc., even though it's a runner in the head or neck area, it is still a foul for targeting. So um, take a look at that rule. Be on top of safety related fouls, and let's try to get offensive holding, especially big takedowns at the point of attack. Okay, this play is a really good example of a play where we would use crossfield mechanics. So you see that we have a pass out near the sideline and he gets driven out of bounds, I think sideways, and so I'm fine with stopping the clock and not having forward progress stopped in the field of play. So good from that standpoint. But if you look here, again, we're maintaining the line of scrimmage until the pass is imminent. In this case, we just turn and pivot and officiate the catch action at the sideline. So this is excellent mechanics as far as handling the pass and our movements as the line of scrimmage, and we're nice and deep into the white. So that is really good. And also, we're officiating the players into the bench area, especially when we have players from one team in the opposing team's bench. So we do a nice job of, again, turning, pivoting, stationary, officiate this action, and I'm good with the spot at the 39-yard line. He doesn't really get control. Remember, catch process, uh, establish control, body part down inbounds, and then an act common to the game. So turning upfield, lunging, etc. And if they don't have a chance to do that, then they need to survive the ground, and that's what this player does. So this is a good catch, and I believe is a good spot. Doesn't establish control until the 39-yard line, and this is subsequently pushed out of bounds. But this is a really good opportunity, again, to use crossfield mechanics to get the spot. Um, in this case, I think we can officiate the dead ball action, kill the clock, and then we can look to the other side of the field to our crossfield partner who can assist with the forward progress spot. Um, when we have passes downfield like this and they get driven backwards, we don't have the best vantage point from that near side. In this case, I think we get the spot correct, and that's great. But what we'd like to see is kill the clock, officiate the dead ball action, and then look across the field for our partner who can assist us with the spot. And then remember, when we have a dead clock because we went out of bounds, we can go back to our regular ball mechanics, slow our process down. Um, we don't need umpire to go a million miles an hour. Now, if we determine that this is dead in the field of play, or forward progress is stopped in the field of play, rather, then we do need umpire going sideline to sideline and picking up that opposite wing to get the spot at the inbound spot. So, well handled. We get the correct spot. Um, do a nice job of getting it ready for play quickly, but just a good opportunity to use crossfield mechanics, and we should discuss that, especially as line of scrimmage officials, on how we're going to handle crossfield mechanics if we have a play like this one. The mechanics by the crew on this play are outstanding. We have a run that develops to the top of the screen. We let the play develop in front of us, and then we officiate the dead ball action without trying to force our way in to that pile to try to get to a forward progress spot. We just wait for it all to clear. We have the spot in our mind. We stay back, keep our vision wide so we can see any late hits or anything else that is in our periphery. We just are nice and calm, kill the clock, and then you see that the umpire and the back judge both come in to assist with dead ball officiating. They both come into the screen to assist with the pile. Um, and then the line of scrimmage official, after the dust clears, sets the ball down, lets the referee look at it, who ships it for a first down. So this is awesome mechanics. This is exactly what we want. Nice and calm, under control. Let the play develop in front of us, officiate the dead ball action first, and then we can worry about the spot second. So just awesome job, great mechanics, really well done by the crew on this play. Um, if you want to know how to officiate a running play and line to gain and dead ball action, etc., this is exactly what we want to see. Well done by the crew. On this play, same sideline. We're going to have a screen pass, and we officiate from behind just like we should. And this player gets hit pretty hard, and the ball comes out. And we're going to unpile these players and determine that the defense has the ball, and we're going to award them the ball at that spot. Now, couple things. Um, Back judge, when you see that this is a screen, just stop, hunker down and officiate from there. Try to officiate this play stationary, and then you can maintain your cushion from there. And then line of scrimmage, compared to the previous play, we do a nice job of officiating this from behind, letting it develop in front of us, but we get too close to the action. Um, Compared to the last one, we beanbag this fumble. That's great. We have played this as a fumble, which is correct. The ball is definitely out. But as you see here on the replay, at the time that the offensive player touches the ball, he is laying with half of his body out of bounds. And so this play was overturned in replay, but from a regular season perspective, we don't have replay. So the best way that we can get this play correct is by having a wider and deeper view, which means we can't get on top of this play. We have to give ourselves some room to work. Remember, the forward progress spot, we can always come to it later, just like we did on the previous play, and we don't need to get right up into this pile so quickly. I think we probably would have seen this defensive player laying out of bounds, touching the ball if we would have stayed back. And then another piece is back judge or umpire potentially. Can you offer information to help? Um, Tough play, you know, big pile up. You're trying to, see where the ball is, see who has it, clear players, all those kinds of things. I get it. But I think if we would have stayed back, stayed deep, we would have seen this offensive player laying on the boundary when he was touching the football. So a good one to learn from as far as um, knowing the status of players inbounds, out of bounds, etc., but also giving ourselves enough room to work, enough depth to see all that we need to see. In this case, a good reminder of why working deep and not getting so close to the pile is really important. On this last play, I want to talk about ball mechanics and clock management. So you see we have a first down run right up the hash there, and the referee is going to get the football, and as soon as he gets the football in his hands, he winds the game clock. This is excellent clock management. Remember, we've talked about this a couple of times that typically if the umpire gets the ball in their hands and the clock is not a factor, which it's the start of the first quarter, as soon as the ball gets in the umpire's hands, or in this case, the referee's hands, we should wind the game clock. So this is excellent clock management. This is exactly what we want. And then the other piece is that referees, if the ball is dead in your area of responsibility and your side zone, there's nothing wrong with you being involved in ball mechanics. You can help triangle the ball in, or in this case, because you're so near the hash and you get the football, just take the spot from the line of scrimmage official and put it on the ground. There's nothing wrong with referees being involved in ball mechanics or in spotting if the play dictates that. And in this particular case, the referee is right there, takes the ball, winds the game clock, and then spots the ball. So this is excellent clock management and excellent ball mechanics by the referee. Okay, that will do it for training tape number 5. A couple things again to be reminded of: line of scrimmage mechanics as it relates to snaps from the 7 and in, also on pass plays at the sideline. How do we handle that from a forward progress perspective, both crossfield mechanics and forward progress inbounds or not? All considerations that we have to think about when we have pass plays at the sideline. Overall, in this tape, some really good examples of awesome mechanics and coverage, things that we want to see. Just a few things to talk about and clean up. Um, both on these plays and just in general across the state. But by and large, doing a nice job. Keep up the good work, stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you next week.